This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everyone, to this week's edition of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's show, this Hall of Fame wrestler is back full-time. A WWE star comments on their loss of 100 pounds. We've got your Royal Rumble results and kind of what we thought about maybe a mixed bag for a pay-per-view and how that sets us up for the road to WrestleMania, as well as taking a look at AEW and everybody vying for the AEW Championship. Help me break it all down, sort it all out, hit the wrestling world with a steel chair and slam it through a table that's on fire. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Cuz it's tough to imagine a world with no AJ Styles. I'm kind of bummed out. It took a little bit of the steam away. I thought the Royal Rumble was very interesting to watch, but in the end, I just felt like the same sentiment that many expressed. I don't need this event in Saudi Arabia. If you're going to go to Europe, you go to Europe, Germany, France, or you bring it to you. I know money, it's important. I get it, but it didn't feel like the Royal Rumble. The Saudis didn't feel like chanting. The way the lights were set up made it feel different, and I just felt like, you know what? This just felt corporate. It didn't feel like the biggest event. You know, it didn't feel like a Big Four event. And We'll get into the results and how it all shook out. But I overall looked at it like a B-. It was fun to watch. But I mean, the Saudis didn't know that from 10 to 0 you're supposed to count. But the weird stuff was going on. There were some entrances that were so long, and because the ramp was so long, that it just felt like the timing was off on some of the entrances. So that's how it went. It did feel weird, and I do think that it was crazy that in the after show, one of the things you heard from the Saudis was, "We want Vince." So it was crazy to think about. And then and in the end, I guess they maybe should have even did a better job to quell. I would have wanted to see Chris Jericho, but it didn't happen. So it kind of felt like you were left wanting to open up your Christmas present, and the box was empty.
Yeah, it for a show that is supposed to be one of your Big Four.
Yeah.
This one felt like it could have been a live show. This one felt like it could have been one of your B pay-per-views. This feels like it could have been a Monday Night Raw. It didn't have that big feeling to it. And when you looked out into the crowd, especially early on, a ton of empty seats, and they were showing them up at towards the top of the arena that they built for this event. It just missed. It felt like it missed the mark in so many ways. And I think the AJ Styles match, which we'll get to when we start going through the results, I feel like that was one of the bigger misses, especially with where it was placed on the card.
Yeah.
Overall, if you're looking to watch a Royal Rumble, I don't feel like you need to watch this Royal Rumble. There was not a whole lot that really came out of it that I think you missed if you didn't sit down and watch it. And I think coming out of this, going into WrestleMania, the build for WrestleMania, I felt like we were left wanting a little bit more. Now, I think they kind of fixed some of that stuff with Monday Night Raw and some of that with SmackDown, but I still feel like there's a lot of work to do, because coming out of this Royal Rumble, I was not really excited for WrestleMania. And I think that kind of tells you about how that show ended up playing out.
And also, for the Saudis, even if they are a late night crowd, starting a pay-per-view at 10 is weird. Like, come on, dude. Human beings are not meant to be rowdy at 10 o'clock. They're starting to wind down. So even if they are a late crowd, the crowd didn't even care about the Women's Royal Rumble until 40 minutes in. So it was just weird.
Nope, absolutely. And speaking of the Women's Royal Rumble, that's what kicked off the show. Liv Morgan wins the Ladies Rumble. She ends up throwing out Raquel Rodriguez and ends up outlasting Sol Ruca and Tiffany Stratton. Look, I think the big thing coming out of this was Liv getting the win finally. She has always been the bridesmaid and never the bride in the Rumble. She's picked up numerous number 2 spots in the Royal Rumble, finishing second. But her tossing out Rodriguez, I think was the nice touch. I think that makes for a really nice storytelling tool. And I think we might start to see the demise and the demise of the Judgment Day. And I think it starts here. I wanted to get your sense on Liv finally winning, finally getting over the hump and getting the big win, and them working and her tossing out Raquel Rodriguez. Because like I said, I feel like that's a nice touch. And I feel like that is something that is going to help get us to WrestleMania. That's going to be one of the storytelling motivating arcs. It's going to be one of the things that is used to help push whatever storyline that they're going to go with. It's going to help push it along. What were your thoughts on her getting the victory and Rodriguez getting tossed out by her supposed best friend?
Yeah, you know what's the best way to win in predictions is to pick a girl that's not even in the Royal Rumble. Wow, Doc, good job. What a way to go with your prediction. We're just not going to have to, recall who I picked, but first and foremost, the crowd just felt like they were only into the stars. Rhea got a pop. That was about it in terms of just real loud. And then the return of Brie Bella really made it so that you're like, man, the women did not connect with the audience for the first half. But once Brie got in there, things picked up. Liv Morgan, obviously, I think is the smart choice. But I also think that the good thing is that at least one lady got herself a little bit even more over, and that's Sol Ruca. I think that clearly she belonged to be in the mix there at the end, and it was cool to see somebody that I think can handle business. So look, Liv Morgan,
her ceiling feels incredibly high,
very high.
And they seem like they really like her. And she's whenever she gets called up to the main roster, which I feel like will be very soon.
Yeah,
going to be a monster push for her.
She's going to be a monster push, and it's well deserved. Liv Morgan, I think, is great, and she got so excited she forgot to do the thing, which is point to the sign. It's kind of important, but you forget. It's fine. I was like, oh man, Adam's gonna win this, no doubt about it. But it was cool to see. The problem was I just didn't feel like outside of maybe for me seeing Natty being the badass, that was cool. The entrance of Brie, it just felt like a women's rumble that the crowd really made feel like it wasn't important. So it was cool. I liked it, but it wasn't their best Royal Rumble that they've had in all the time that they've had them.
The Rumble overall kind of felt like it was a bit mailed in. And I think when you look at the build felt mailed in. And nothing really identified that mailing it in more than the AJ Styles match. And the AJ Styles match falls second on this Royal Rumble card. Like, if you're not going to be last, you want to be first on a wrestling card. Yeah. And they couldn't even do that for him. They give him a 2-week build for his retirement, which in my estimation, distasteful. And then you give him this match and it's number 2 on the card. I just, to me, incredibly frustrating, right? Like, you could have had the men's Royal Rumble last, or you could have the men's Royal Rumble. I'm sorry. You could have had that second to last. You could have had that to open the show. You could have did it. You could have did things so different with how you laid this card out. Yeah. AJ Styles should have either opened the show or AJ Styles should have closed the show. Instead, AJ Styles gets put in after the women's Royal Rumble. It's your number 2 match. He ends up losing to Gunther, which we both predicted, but I felt like it was done distastefully. Like, the way he was, we'll say, honored going into retirement was just done so piss poor. And it's not like they didn't know that he was looking to retire. It sounds like this has been something that has been discussed and something that has been talked about. We've talked about it here on the podcast. Yeah. It sounds like they knew forever and a day. Now, you have the whole thing going on with John Cena at the same time. I get that you don't necessarily want to run into that, but at some point, man, AJ Styles is a stud. AJ Styles is a guy who was a pillar of the wrestling community for 20-some years. 30-some years. The guy has been fantastic holding it down. Wrestled in every major wrestling organization, whether it was WCW, whether it was WWE, whether it was New Japan, whether it was TNA. The guy has been all over. I think even wrestled in Ring of Honor at a certain point. Like, he's been everywhere and done everything. And this is a guy who goes on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And the way he was honored on his way out just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And the weird stuff at the end where he goes to take off the gloves, but then leaves the gloves on. I just don't get it. And you hear the reports that come out that said he's like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm not wrestling anymore. You won't find me in a WWE ring, which maybe he'll be in a TNA ring. Maybe
Right.
he'll be somewhere else. But it sounds like, according to him, he's not wrestling anymore. And to me, it was just really, really poorly executed for a retirement match for a guy who's a freaking legend. What are your thoughts on the way, just the build, the match, the ending, the faking of the glove thing, just all of it, man? 'Cause
Yeah.
all of it to me felt like it was a turd sandwich. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, no, the more I looked at it, because I did listen to the entire interview with Stephanie, was really well done. And here's a little bit more context and reasoning behind it. First and foremost, it was crazy because Shinsuke Nakamura dropped a letter that basically told everybody that, AJ Styles was thinking about it. So then you really look at it and you go, oh, wait a minute. The match with John Cena, the match with Shinsuke, a match with CM Punk, you kind of were getting hints that it was coming to an end. And I do think that AJ Styles would have considered wrestling more. But you also got to remember, too, he had the match at Saturday night's main event where he botched a move, and he didn't want to have situations where he further felt like he was going well below his top. That match against Gunther in the ring was pretty good. So at the same token, this is a guy that's traveled the world, and now his kid's at the age where she's starting to talk about what it's like when he's away. And he had a poignant moment. It was real tough to listen to on the podcast with Stephanie, where his daughter messaged the mom and was like, man, a lot of kids tell me it's really cool and you're lucky to have AJ Styles as a dad. And the daughter told the mom, no, they're lucky because their daddy gets to come home. And I was like, oh, and it was gut wrenching. But he's like, you know what? I think he would have considered signing. His contract's done, but I do think that he really felt like, you know what, he wanted to wrestle, but also at the same time he spent a lot of poignant moments away from your family, and that's just really hard. It's the travel. It's not the wrestling. It's the fact that you got to be gone in the WWE schedule. You're doing tours 3 weeks at a time, and his kids are at the age where they're going to actually miss their dad. He's 48 years old. And so I think he really thought about it. He's like, I got more to give. And so what he said was, and I think it really hit home on Monday, and everybody read into it properly. My WWE career is over. That's the big leagues. But if I want to show up, he said, if there's a chance, maybe my son has, an itch, I could show up in a fun match. Basically, he means, look, I stepped away from the big time main event WWE style of I'm all in and I'm the baddest of the world. But the thing that's going to be crazy is, does AEW make a push and say, hey, here's a bunch of money and we're going to give you 5 matches a year for 3 years and you can have a career. You can wrestle Ospreay, Omega, and you can have these matches. I think that he went to Stanford to sign a big Legends deal because I think he'll be around the business. And I just think that once he gets away from it, yeah, he'll miss it, but he's done everything. He left at the right time. I mean, he's 48 years old. He's at the top. He can still move. Everyone still wants to see more of him. I think that's perfect age to retire is if you get in young between 45 and 50. I think it's just a young man's game. And so I hope he doesn't go to AEW. I like the idea in this business of wrestling. Leave the fans wanting a little bit more. Yes, I think that you and I are more in the ceremonial aspect where we want all the wrestlers to come out and to enjoy AJ Styles. But I think there'll be opportunities for that when you saw all the wrestlers honor him. You're going to see the legacy continued with Finn Balor. And really, in the end, it allowed smaller guys to kind of go in there. And I think where you and I are bummed out is that we get to see like the living embodiment of like a Shawn Michaels, the continuation for the last decade. And it just felt like, man, that was a fast decade. But to me, I think it's a perfect run. 10 years, Royal Rumble to Royal Rumble. Gunther also gets the benefit of the rub from retiring another person. And I think that when you get that emotional connection, it sucks because they could do so much more. But he's not John Cena. It's AJ Styles. It's something a little different. But listen, he'll always, and the respect was showed. He got to do great things with the Bullet Club in New Japan. TNA put them on his back. A WWE run that everybody loved. Everybody has a lot of great things about AJ Styles. So it was great to see, and now it's great that we can have great memories of the matches that he had, and we're going to continue to see the legacy moving forward of those that are going to continue his style. Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Finn Balor, all those guys are able to do their craft because of guys like AJ Styles. It sucks, but I came to accept it when you kind of know the whole picture of, you know what, it's never going to be a full decision. Like he knows he could do more, but at the same token, when you choose your family over your job, that's the best way to be. I mean, come on, man. The kid, like,
You can't be upset.
Yeah, and on the 11th, he said, on the 11th, we know where AJ Styles is going to be. He's going to be at one of the first times he gets to take his daughter to a daddy-daughter dance. You know what? Go do your thing, Mr. Alan Jones, and thank you for everything you did. If we have a chance to see you down the road, that's great, but do the family thing, and it was cool to see. And get more perspective. The Stephanie McMahon podcast, audio and video, was really cool, the way they did it, and especially with the wife tribute. AJ Styles, man, it's a legend. I hope we get to see Finn Balor carry the honor of the wrestler, the working man's working man.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, like you said, you put it perfectly. His legacy will live on in guys like Ospreay, Ricochet, a dude like Finn Balor. His legacy will live on, and it will continue. I think we just both kind of feel like he was a little bit shorthanded with how they sent him out.
Yeah, and I think American wrestlers shouldn't retire in Saudi Arabia. Come on, dude.
No,
come on.
If anything, the man should have retired probably in Georgia.
Yeah, right.
His home state, anyway, or even Nashville, like in Tennessee, where he made really and truly his name became synonymous with wrestling in TNA. When they're or even. I think they had like a thing at Universal Studios in Orlando. So Orlando, like you have three different spots that he could have ended his career, that his name is synonymous with wrestling in those cities, and they just didn't do it. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but like you said, legacy will live on. Our next match was Drew McIntyre defeating Sami Zayn, just kind of a match. This built us up to the Royal Rumble, and Roman wins the Rumble. Your final four were Logan Paul, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Gunther. Look, it was so basic. It was so right in front of us. Neither one of us picked Roman Reigns. I don't know how we missed it. I don't know what we were thinking, but we missed it. In something about WWE creative as of right now, they play everything incredibly safe. You're not seeing anybody get this monster push. Like Logan Paul would have been something different. Randy Orton would have been a little bit fun. Gunther getting it would have been different. Instead, they go with Roman Reigns. He was the safe bet. He was the $1 million chip, and they cashed it in. And again, WWE creative, playing it safe. I want to get your perspective on WWE and their creative right now and playing it safe, because I don't think Roman was a bad call. I just feel like Roman was the safe call. Roman was, I don't know. It felt very mixed bag when he won. You're like, okay, cool. We could have something fun here, but it doesn't feel like it's exciting. It feels like it's a lot of the same old. We've got these cookie cutters. We're going to cut some cookies. And they're all going to look the same. And that's kind of what Roman Reigns felt like winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel, because it's really interesting, because Roman Reigns gets the opportunity to set up the opportunity of who he's going to face, which is going to be a mega main event. That's cool. But at the same token, I feel like you could have got there in a different way too. Maybe, okay, it's not going to be Cody. Who else would have been, contenders, like we said? Maybe an LA Knight would have been cool. Maybe a surprise. Well, I felt like, it was going to be. I think what bothered people is you have Braun Breaker, and he doesn't even get to the Royal Rumble. You use the same masked man situation to reveal it. I get it. I think we all know who it's going to eventually be. But at the same token, you're like, oh, we would have liked to at least seen Braun Breaker get in there and be in the ring with Roman Reigns. It might have set up something. You didn't need Gunther in the match. I felt like the men's Royal Rumble was interesting. It was cool to see Powerhouse Hobbs and to see them acknowledge his name and the history with Cody Rhodes. So I liked a lot of the things that went down. But at the same token, the biggest mistake that you make is, how do you have Brock Lesnar get into the match and then Jey Uso's doing his run it back thing? It was the weirdest thing. It was weird. It's like, no, Brock Lesnar getting eliminated might be something you want to show or highlight or make it a big deal. I just felt like, you know what? It might have been like nothing wrong with, let Obafemi win it. Like, that would have been kind of interesting to say, you know what? Obafemi versus Drew McIntyre, you have it right then and there, and it's perfect. And then Cody could have a different feud and maybe make somebody else. Like, Cody's important, but at the same token, I think that these guys are ready. like Obafemi, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna cook him even more? The guy like has everything in the world you want: size, speed, the look. He is badass. My kids are now starting to walk like him. We're gonna be doing the Oba walk, and they're like, "Who the hell's that?" And so they're loving it. It's so But look, I get it. If you're gonna set it up, Roman is important, and we maybe should have known based on what Roman was saying, but it was such a good job, the promo that he did at Pat McAfee, that it almost felt like it was a shoot. Like, yeah, I'm here, and nobody really is a superstar like me, but that was really the clue that I'm back and I'm going to do some things. But in the end, while we can make arguments for others, you can't go wrong with Roman Reigns. He's a badass. He earns a shot. And if he's going to be a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah, I think the Royal Rumble should be used as the next thing. But unfortunately, when your world champion is CM Punk and the other guy is Drew McIntyre, who's in a feud, it makes it more difficult to be like, okay, let's make somebody. Because I think the Elimination Chamber will have a chance to also let Cody Rhodes do his thing. So I liked it that you furthered some angles and started to kick off. And really, in the end, that you started to see when you saw Obafemi and Trick Williams and Javon Evans all in there, you're like, oh man, the future is really good, where you got a megastar, you got the brute, and you got the young wrestler. So in the end, I think that visual was really, just talking to you right now, was really the embodiment of the business. You got the big monster, which everybody loves in WWE. You got the Rock personality, which is the embodiment of Trick Williams, where you got the Flash and the guy that can have sayings and sell merch. And then you got the wrestler in Javon Evans. It's a perfect visual of what can happen in this business. And just thinking about it now, what a visual. And then just the tease of Brock Lesnar and Obafemi was really cool. So in the end, Roman Reigns, do your thing. I'll acknowledge you, man. It's going to be a fun ride, at least to WrestleMania.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Roman Reigns here in a few moments, because what took place on Raw, like I said, it kind of made you feel a little bit better about the Royal Rumble. But before we get there, Braun Breaker draws card number 2. So Obafemi's already out in the ring. Braun is number 2, comes down to the ring, and then gets attacked. Now, this was the guy that you and I both had picked to win the whole damn thing. He gets attacked. He gets stomped by a guy wearing a black hood and then gets rolled into the ring. I want to get your thoughts on who you think took out Braun Breaker. My initial reaction watching the stomp, watching the build of the guy, seeing that there was a little bit of facial hair, I originally thought that it might be Austin Theory. And then I kind of was going back and forth. I'm 75% sure it's Austin Theory, but then could it be maybe Adam Pearce? But Adam Pearce, I don't think can wrestle anymore because he has medical issues. So I lean towards it being Austin Theory. Austin Theory working with Seth Rollins. So when Seth Rollins does come back, the anticipation is Seth Rollins will be back by WrestleMania. You could see maybe a little bit of some friction within the vision. I want to get your thoughts on who you think took out Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I think it's Seth Rollins. I think that obviously with Braun Breaker declaring that he's the leader now and things are forward, I think that you get Seth Rollins can move away from that and be somebody to set up something. And then also too, I don't think you need Braun Breaker in the vision. I think that sets it up where you can have Braun Breaker do his thing and or you could just not have Seth Rollins in the vision anymore either and just do his own thing and you can pivot away
Seth
from
Rollins
that.
No longer in the vision. They kicked him out when they beat the shit out of him. But like at a certain point, Seth Rollins is going to come back and he's going to want to take revenge on those guys. But does he have an inside man, maybe Austin Theory, working with him?
Exactly. Maybe having an opportunity. Yeah, I mean, retribution. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It's interesting. It's very intriguing to really look at what they could do with the storyline, because I like the idea of Paul Heyman with Seth Rollins, and I like him with Braun Breaker. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I did forget that they booted him, but at the same token, I look at it and I say that Seth Rollins, I would have done it differently without the masked man. You just did that. So you're going to go back to it again? Well, we'll see how it plays out. It's something now where you realize, okay, that part of the company, I'm just like, Braun Breaker is not the man anymore. It's like they pivoted to Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and Braun Breaker now is in the Vision are in something that is not as big as the biggest thing in the company.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think this sets him up for something that could be a lot of fun for WrestleMania. I just don't know where we're gonna go with who the masked guy is when we get the reveal. I'm assuming it'll be around WrestleMania, so it'll be interesting to see what takes place. When we get to calling the card, I get 2 points. I got the bonus point for Liv Morgan, and I got the win. So I've extended my lead by 6 now. But that sets us up for Monday Night Raw. I thought Monday Night Raw overall was kind of a mailed-in show until we got to the very, very end, where you've got Roman Reigns coming out. He's in the ring, and he's basically playing to the crowd on who they want him to pick. And CM Punk comes down, interrupts, and immediately cuts a promo on Finn Balor, which I like. Completely just kind of waving off Roman Reigns and just kind of shooing him to the side. And then these two get into it. And it is nasty. And it is cutting. And they are back and forth with verbal jabs. And Roman Reigns basically says, I pick you because I hate you. I hate you for everything that you've ever done. And goes on to name the podcast interview with Colt Cabana, making his life incredibly difficult, him coming back and basically brainwashing his wise man and taking him from him, mocking him behind his back, sitting there brainwashing his cousins, just goes down this list. And it was this really good job of blurring real stuff and kayfabe stuff. And I thought Roman delivered an exceptional promo. This promo was so good. He got done delivering it. And my wife was in the kitchen making her lunch, and she was like, she's checked out on wrestling. Like, we've got baby on the way, baby number 2 on the way, and we've got a kid who's constantly sick right now with baby number 1. And she was like, I absolutely love Roman Reigns. She's like, I don't care about wrestling anymore at all, but when he's on the screen, I stop, I pay attention, and what he just did was absolutely amazing. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty great. His promo with CM Punk was absolutely stupendous. What did you think of this promo between him and CM Punk? And did it get you a little bit more excited for WrestleMania? Because it did for me. Going in, I was very flat. I was very flaccid. I was like your penis after, I don't know, you went to church. You're not excited. If anything, it's turtled and it's inside you. This got me a little bit with a semi. I had a little bit of a chubster going on. I'm excited for WrestleMania because of this promo.
Oh yeah, it's main event. It's big time. One phrase, I hate you. That's good enough for me.
And the way he said it, said it was great.
Oh, it was amazing. And also too, it's so great. The one thing that, on a consistent basis, they don't do for everybody, but the way that they can weave in long-term stories is great. And that's the purpose of having a lot of creative people, is that, okay, they can go back and say, okay, what happened when CM Punk brought in brought in the Shield? And they're like, oh, and then so CM Punk can say this, and then Roman can say, well, when you left and came back, and then to bring up the podcast was great, because now it's simple. Wrestling, all you need to draw any level of interest is the reason, a strong reason, and a history. Oh my God, and then people were able to go back and I found the clip where he basically said, what CM Punk said was, when he was fighting with Roman Reigns, the company kept saying 6 times, make Roman look strong, make Roman look strong. And, he would pitch an idea and they'd be like, okay, but make Roman look strong. So what Roman was saying was, people didn't believe I was real because you went on a stupid podcast and broke kayfabe and told everybody that I wasn't strong, so that when I would try to get over and win a Royal Rumble, people are booing me. So it's amazingly real. And there is an element of realness, because remember when people were booing him, they were booing Roman Reigns because it felt forced. And I'm sure Roman felt like, man, I am this good, but the people won't buy it because this moron told everybody that the company was trying to make me look strong. So in the essence, CM Punk did a disservice by poisoning the well on a podcast before it was cool. So it's so good. It's so good because there's realism to it. Of course, Roman Reigns is going to be pissed. He's like, man, I tried to get over and I had to be in a spot where I had to work 10 times harder because this fool told everybody what the company was thinking behind the scenes. So these people are real. And when Roman wins a Royal Rumble, and he's got his cousin The Rock in the ring and everybody's booing, that has to suck because that's the complete opposite of what he was trying to do. So this match is going to be great. And I do think too, in the end, and I'm going to say it right now, I have to think that Roman has to put over CM Punk because that's how you make CM Punk bigger. If Roman's going to be part-time, you got to give the rub to the world champ, and it just makes CM Punk look that much great. I just hope the match happens. They're both older. There's stuff going on. I just want to see CM Punk deserves night 2, big money. Everybody wants to see it. If there's going to be a match with Finn Balor, I just hope CM Punk stays healthy and he gets his opportunity to walk in the ring. Night 2 of WrestleMania. CM Punk is huge. He's over. Everybody loves him. And I just can't wait. If that was round 1, holy shamoly, that's round 1. That was a promo of the year. And it was good because both can carry it. But I will say, Roman won. Roman won the first battle. That was cool to see.
Oh, yeah. He basically left CM Punk speechless, which never happens. Punk always has a retort for something. Yeah. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Woo-hoo. And like I said, going into WrestleMania season, coming out of the Rumble, and just going into the Rumble, I felt like they did a piss poor job building the Rumble. Coming out of it, I kind of was like, all right, whatever. This made my ears perk up. This made me interested, and that's what they're supposed to do, and that's what they did. They did their job. And look, like I said, I thought Monday Night Raw as a show just wasn't great. It was just a show, which then leads us to Friday Night SmackDown, which I thought was a much better show. And I think Friday Night SmackDown, for the most part, has been killing it lately, especially over Monday Night Raw. The line Roman was like, "You're on Netflix and this is the best show." I don't really think so. I think Friday Night SmackDown is the better show out of 2 of them right now. But you did get Cody Rhodes opening up, and this made you excited. He references Raheem Rhodes. That's his dick, if you didn't know. So he references Raheem Rhodes. He references his dick. And he references CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. He referenced everything. This one promo had it all. And it had his cool little lisp in it. It was great. I want to know what you thought of the Raheem Rhodes. That's what we're going to call it. The Raheem Rhodes promo on Friday Night SmackDown to open the show. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was fun. This was one of those things where it's a little bit light. It makes you laugh, makes you giggle. And if you know, you know. And now you know. I thought this was well done. What did you think?
Yeah, and if you don't know, it's referencing somebody made a song that Cody Rhodes is another black champion because he's married to Brandy. And I get it. It's an internet thing. I get it too. We are in Black History Month, but I maybe wouldn't have referenced it, but it's
dude, it was so good, bro.
Dude, I mean, okay, but
he acknowledged it. That was the best part,
right? He's acknowledged it. Because Cody Raheem Rhodes. It's. I get it, but at the same token, you got to also remember that it's also a reference to the fact that, there's not really a lot of African-American champions, but it's coming. You realize that there's a lot of minority opportunities now, and you got 3 big stars coming up in WWE. But listen, Cody Rhodes is the man. You pissed off Cody Rhodes. And also, too, I think the challenge was met. Like, holy shit, everybody's talking about CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and then Drew and Cody were like, oh boy, we gotta kind of get back on track with our promos. So it's good. It's very good because when you get a pissed off Cody, you realize that, opportunities, when you take something away from Cody Rhodes, he gets pissed and he's trying to do his best as he can to elevate a feud with Drew McIntyre, and he did a great job with it. 100%. Raheem, baby, is going to win a dick swinging contest with Drew McIntyre.
Definitely he will. All right, so we're building towards the Elimination Chamber, right? That's the next big pay-per-view. That's where we're headed. That's the stop before the stop for WrestleMania. So we've got qualifying matches going on. We've got the women where Tiffany Stratton ends up winning. She ends up beating Chelsea Green, and I can't remember who else they were facing. Randy Orton ends up qualifying. He ends up defeating Solo Sikoa and Aleister Black. Look, I've got no problem with Randy qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. I think that's fantastic. I think that's good. I think it's a good choice. I did have a little bit of trouble with Tiffany Stratton, though, and I want to get your take on this, and I want you to let me know if maybe I'm out of touch here. There's this stuff going on with Chelsea Green, where if you watched Unreal, Michael Hayes makes a comment where essentially he views Chelsea Green as being an upper mid-card talent and being nothing more. She has a ceiling. She will never be a Charlotte Flair. She'll never be a Becky Lynch. She will never arise to that main event status, which I think is false. I think Chelsea Green is absolutely, one, entertaining, two, charismatic, and I think she is outstanding in the wrestling ring. So you have the ability here to put her over and let her win get her into the elimination chamber. Instead, you go back to Tiffany Stratton. And look, I think Tiffany Stratton's fantastic. I think she's got a great look. I think she's really, really good in the ring. I think she's good. I felt like you missed a chance to give this to Chelsea Green. I feel like Chelsea Green needed this, and it should have been Chelsea Green being qualified for the elimination chamber. I think it makes it much more interesting if Chelsea Green's in there than if Tiffany Stratton's in there. What are your thoughts on the two people who qualified, whether it be Tiffany Stratton or whether it be Randy Orton? And should Chelsea Green have been the one who qualified for the women?
Right? I mean, you had a chance to use a real life situation where Michael P.S. Hayes craps on Chelsea Green, and again, they reinforce it that that's what she does. And I would have put a mic in her hand and let her rip one. You guys think that I'm somebody that's just a regular worker? I've done this, I've done that, and now I'm gonna show you in the back. I would have brought it up. People in Zoom meetings are dictating what I can do. Boom, it's on, and throw the mic down. Again, but it sucks because now that they're comfortable, she signed a long-term deal. I think that she might end up going the way of Ricochet, where what's her role? I think she'll eventually get a title run, but it just sucks that, a producer, did that to a character but it is something that will psychologically, it's a tried and true thing. I think there is a real aspect that was a shoot to try and get her motivated and to get, the fans behind her even more. So that's fine. But at the same token, there is some truth behind it in that she's still right in the mid card. And I do think in a year or two, she'll get a nice run with the world title. But right now, they're just in the phase of Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace and Tiffany Stratton. And so Chelsea just got to wait her turn. She's got 5 years or 3 years or whatever amount of time.
Let me ask you this.
She's going to be something soon.
So who are you more entertained by, and who do you feel like is the better overall wrestler? Chelsea Green or Jade Cargill? Jade Cargill's your champ right now.
Right.
I feel like Chelsea Green beats her ass in all aspects of wrestling. She just might not have chiseled abs like Jade does, but in every other aspect of wrestling, Chelsea Green's the better wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, I guess my overall question to you is, if they view you as a mid-card talent, do you have the ability to get yourself into that main event picture?
Yes,
because
yes.
I feel like in WWE, they immediately pigeonhole you.
Yeah,
you come in and they see you as mid-card, you're going to only be mid-card. You don't really ever have a chance to get up the card and get into that main event. If they want you to be a main eventer, you can just, honestly, you could look at Matt Cardona, you could look at Roman Reigns. They looked at Roman Reigns, they're like, he's going to be a main eventer. And you know what they did? They crammed Roman Reigns down our throat until we accepted him.
But
and honestly, if he didn't get diagnosed with leukemia and go away for a little bit, I don't know if he comes back and has the run that he has. Whereas Matt Cardona, they're like, you're lower mid-card, you're lower mid-card, He goes and does his own thing, and then he makes them elevate him, but they elevate him essentially for a night, and then he goes right back to the mid-card.
Right.
And like, Matt Cardona, we were talking last night, we're talking Friday night,
Yeah.
Matt Cardona is doing backstage stuff with Apollo Crews. I didn't even know Apollo Crews was still in WWE, bro.
Right.
I was like, Apollo Crews still exists?
Yeah,
Didn't he leave and go to TNA? What is it like? Hey, it's good to see you. You were on the side of a milk carton for the last 2.5 years. Nice to know that you exist, Apollo Crews. Matt Cardona, what are you doing with Apollo Crews? Like, and that's now like legit. This is where Matt Cardona is now. Matt Cardona is that lower end mid card because that's what Apollo Crews is. That's what they're telling you.
Because here's true where we see it. There's a percolating situation that they do. They don't just go like, okay, Trick Williams, you're going to win the world title. Like, it just doesn't happen that way because they have a tried and true formula. It's basically like analytics. They say, okay, we're going to take this much time to build this much story so that when it's time, and I do think psychologically Chelsea Green is close. And it's just, I understand exactly what you're saying. We all think that Chelsea Green right now is better, but unfortunately, guess what? When you invest probably 6 times as much money in Jade Cargill as you probably have in Chelsea Green, you got to make her a champion. And that's just the way it goes. And it sucks, but I do believe Chelsea has started to get that formula, like the Brian Danielson treatment, where hey, you're performing, we like you, we extend you. Now we do things to make the fans get behind you psychologically, and I think it's coming. It's just they don't go from first to fifth gear with talent. I think that she understands it. I mean, listen, she wouldn't go on a radio station and talk about it if she wasn't already having some talks behind the scenes. So I do think that there's a part shoot element to this to help her get over, and that's the WWE's tried and true way. Remember, Bryan Danielson lost a match in like 5 seconds, and the whole world was like, oh, and then the Yes Movement was born. So I think Chelsea Green's got to take advantage of it, and yeah, and for Matt Cardona, look, man, there's just, dude, you're on SmackDown and you're the 9th best talent. That's crazy. That's how much talent there is. Obafemi, Trick Williams, unbelievable. You still got to do stuff with Aleister Black. You got Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre. So it's wild to think about, but you're absolutely right. It would be nice if the timing of right then when it's hot, that she would have cut a promo instead of taking an L. But unfortunately, Tiff Stratton is somebody that the booking department really likes. And that's what stinks about wrestling, is that while there are people that are getting pushed, we know that there's a couple others that want their opportunity, and let's see if they take advantage of it. And I do think, trust me, cuz we will be talking about the world champ Chelsea Green in a matter of time.
I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right. We'll see what happens. I just feel like just another missed opportunity booking wise.
Yeah.
Was there anything else from WWE that really stuck out to you this week that you liked, that you didn't like? Anything that you want to touch on?
Yeah, Kit Wilson's doing his thing. Toxic masculinity is weird, but I get it, but you like it. I like seeing him get squashed. I did not like Obafemi squashing. Listen, sometimes it's fun to harken back to enhancement talent. I don't think the tag team that Oba squashed.
You didn't have to crush the War Raiders.
No.
What good did that do for anybody?
No, that did nothing. That's the one tag team that people actually would say, well, okay, in the New Day, you don't need to do that. That makes them look really bad. Just have them go out there, squash enhancement talent, somebody else. But Obafemi, man, he's got it. It's a good transition. They're using him right. If they get a chance to get Brock, I hope they don't do Brock and Gunther, but it's going to be interesting to see. Dude, it was great. They had AJ Styles music play on Raw, and it's Gunther. I thought that was awesome. I popped. I was like, yes. And I was like, oh, when he did the thing, I was like, that's good. That's good shit. I didn't like, to me, the one thing I'll add is I think for the U.S. title, the open challenge aspect has to stop. I mean, it's the same people now, like The Miz and Dragunov. It's like, listen, tell a story. Let the U.S. champion tell a story, but it's the pseudo television championship. And I get it, but I feel like the United States championship should be elevated just a little bit more. But they're treating it like the World Television Championship, but they're not saying it. And I get it with this open challenge. But Carmelo Hayes deserves a story, mate. Let him tell one, and it's going to be good. I liked seeing Jordan Grace and Jade Cargill in the match. I thought that was great. I think Raquel Rodriguez is continuing to grow her star. I like that. So there's a lot of good things that are going on, and Randy Orton's still doing his thing. I just feel like, too, I'm curious to see where Solo Sikoa and that group and the Bloodline and Jimmy and Jay, what they're going to start doing. So there's so much good stuff going on in WWE and stuff for us to kick off with angles and things like that. And I'm also excited that LA Knight came back at the Royal Rumble. So there's a lot of good things kicking off in 2026. So yeah, there are aspects that are safe, but I'm also excited for the things that could take place from now until WrestleMania.
Yeah, a lot of good storylines that we're building towards. A lot of good wrestling on specifically SmackDown. Raw, I'm hoping finds its legs before WrestleMania gets here, but a lot of good stuff going on in SmackDown. Let's transition over to AEW. Now, AEW opens up with multiple backstage promos. Everybody's cutting a promo and basically shooting for the AEW championship and gunning for MJF. And this becomes the storyline throughout the show. You get a lot of these different guys, whether it's Kenny Omega, whether it's Hangman Page, Brody King, who's in a match with MJF to close the night. He's the main event. Andrade. You've got multiple guys chasing after MJF and like I said, cutting promos and telling about how they're going to get to him and how they're going to beat him. And I thought this was a little bit lame, but as the program wore on, it all started to make a little bit of sense to me. When this first opened, I was like, this is stupid. This is what we're doing. We're going to spend the first 10 minutes of the program with everybody cutting promos on MJF then how they're going to get his belt. I was like, all right, whatever. And then you get to the finish and you're like, okay, cool. Made sense. Speaking of the finish, Brody King ends up beating the shit out of MJF, squashed him. 1:17. Brody King squashes MJF to get a title shot. And then you have multiple guys come down trying to claim the belt and hold the belt high over their head. You had Andrade come down. You had Hangman Page come down. Earlier in the night, you had Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland dusting it up between each other. It seems like those two are now headed to a small mini feud on their way to face MJF. I want to get your thoughts on the world champ taking a loss, not just a loss, but getting squashed by Brody King and getting that rub from him. So now he can have a title match. And look, I don't think he ends up winning the title, but I thought this was a fantastic way to help elevate Brody King. This was a fantastic way to help elevate multiple wrestlers in a storyline. You've got multiple guys who are vying for a championship and going after MJF, and you found a way to keep their storylines and their story arcs relevant for this week in television while elevating a guy like Brody King, who before this match, I think we would both have agreed he was mid card. He was a guy who they put a couple belts on. He's interesting. He's a big dude. He's got an interesting look, but he's definitely not main event talent. We wouldn't say he was main event talent. He was definitely middle of the mid card. He now is a guy that we're talking about on this program and a guy who is now going to get a shot at MJF's belt. And he did it all in 1:17. What are your thoughts on Brody King squashing MJF?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's unique. It makes it so the reason you do that is you open up the idea that anybody can beat anybody on any given night. And so that's intriguing. You make Brody King a little bit bigger, and I think that that's a good thing for AEW. What do we ask for? More guys in the mid-card elevated, and MJF knows that. Like, hey, we got to make people so that when I beat them, it's a big deal. So I liked it. I thought AEW, listen, in the absence of like universal, top to bottom, great storytelling, they are picking up the pace with the idea of telling some stories and getting some guys over. But yeah, look, all these guys are vying for the belt, and that's just a tried and true. That's old school, which is when the belt is, held by someone so great, everybody wants a piece of it. This is nothing new, but I like the men that are involved in it. And listen, I'm going to keep it simple and keep it a buck. Andrade was like, Tony, I think it'd be a great idea if I have a bunch of baddies with me. And Tony's like, okay. But at the same token, Tony's got to tell the girls like, hey, stop going on Instagram and writing, this is so fake. And listen, you got to find real marks that are interesting, maybe indie women wrestlers that are great looking. But if you didn't see, I think they were kind of adult content creators. And one of them went afterwards and posted on Instagram, this is so fake. And it's like, no, but it's interesting. It's unique. All the guys that are vying for the title are awesome. And at the same time, when you have MJF as the world champion, that's the way really it should be.
Yeah, I think they're doing, again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I feel like it is hard to do this, and I don't know if I enjoy it or not. But I feel like for this week, AEW gets a monster win because you kept me interested in everybody. And it's not like it's like one person who's in a storyline with MJF. It's like 5 guys, 6 guys who all have an arcing storyline with this guy. And now you've added Brody King into it. And now Brody King has been elevated up the roster. And Brody King is a guy who you're saying, look at him. Look at what he just did. This is somebody that you need to pay attention to. And I love that. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. I thought that was really, really well done by the booking. I thought that was really well done by Tony Khan. I was impressed by it. Anything else from AEW that you want to touch on? Like I said, the multiple storylines for the World Championship was really the thing that ran through the entire program. There were multiple spots and multiple drop-offs for those storylines. Like I said, you're going to get something with Swerve and Kenny Omega, and I'm interested to see what happens there. You did have Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford end up beating Willow Nightingale for a shot to get a tag team title opportunity. So, you did have other things going on in this program, but I felt like the biggest story was what was taking place with that AEW championship.
Absolutely. AEW is in a good spot. They have and it was just cool to see the Will Ospreay promo. I thought that was like, all right, let's see.
That was great.
That was pretty good. All right, it's that time. Tell me, cuz, hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list?
All right, this Hall of Fame wrestler is back with the company full-time. Speaking on Impulsive, Brie Bella announced that she is back with WWE in a full-time capacity, stating that, "Oh no, I'm back. I'm full-time." Discussing how she finalized the deal with WWE, Bella said, "What I love is that I did throw it out there. I felt like a lot when I was on a red carpet. I said, waiting for the call. I definitely did that. So I think that helped get their wheels going. But when I did get the call, I was shocked. I was like, really? All right." The Bella twins currently are chasing tag team gold. Brie Bella was the big woman who was the surprise for the Royal Rumble. So if that surprised you and that was the big one, then kudos to you. For me, it felt a little bit like a wet fart, but WWE in Saudi Arabia, what you gonna do, baby? That's what it is. And then finally, we're spending a lot of time with the women here. A WWE star does a sit-down interview and discusses their body transformation. Speaking on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, Nia Jax opened up on her fitness goals, discussing her weight loss. Jax said, "It's funny because right now, I just told one of the girls and they were like, no way, because they hadn't seen me at my biggest. My fitness journey started 3 years ago. At this point, I've lost 100 pounds since I started. Not a lot of people saw me when I was that big because I wasn't really working here and I tried to stay off the internet. But yeah, that's the actual weight. I started in NXT at when I got hired. So it's kind of like people haven't seen that because I've never really had the opportunity to lock in and I've never been locked in." My nephew was like, 100 pounds? I'm like, I know. I just lost you. Nia Jax currently teaming with Lash Legend on SmackDown. Both stars appeared in the Royal Rumble match that took place last Saturday. So kudos to Nia Jax for losing 100 pounds and continuing on her weight loss journey. If you do remember, Nia Jax was a plus size model. I think you can see the body transformation in Nia Jax. I think she's doing a very good job trying to manage her weight and stay fit. So kudos. That's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes.
Make sure you follow Adam on X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you agree or disagree with anything that we've said, appreciate everybody that's once in a while will message, "Oh, you guys like wrestling?" Yes, we're definitely understanding the world of the professional wrestling. It's all good, and it's really nice to see the opportunity that we can blend Detroit sports with the world of professional wrestling. Big things are happening. We are on the road to WrestleMania. Can't wait to follow all the happenings, Raw, SmackDown, TNA, everything going on with AEW. It's a great opportunity to follow along, and thanks to everybody that's been following with Doc and Jock. I can't wait, to fire it up next week on the next episode of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast.